So, I try to keep an ear away from drama. I just don't deal with drama. It's not who I am as a person, but this one I feel like I have to talk about. And it is actually concerning this past Saturday because WWE and AEW both put on pay per views or premium live events, whatever you prefer to call them, this past Saturday. AEW, it was All Out in Toronto. And for WWE, it was WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis. And I was able to actually see both shows. Now, granted, AEW, I had to leave early because I was actually in person at WrestlePalooza. And it was a very fun experience in the building. However, the consensus from not just the the IWC, but also ESPN themselves, they've not given the highest of marks for the show. ESPN actually gave the show a C grade in their write up on their website. So, yeah, people were not very pleased with, other than maybe a couple of exceptions on the show. They were not pleased with the value that they got for the show. Because, reminder, ESPN now has the streaming rights for the WWE PLEs that you have to pay $30 a month for. So, how is that any different from AEW, where, they have pay-per-views that you have to purchase through either Prime or HBO Max. HBO Max is cheaper than Prime. Max is $40, whereas through Prime it's $50. So there is a bit of a difference. What I'm trying to get to is the cost of being a wrestling fan has definitely changed quite a bit. More so in this instance of WWE, because when Vince was in charge, wrestling was very much affordable. You could take, the whole family to go to, Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown or a Tuesday Night SmackDown or, any of the house shows that they ran, so on and so forth. And you can even go to the pay-per-views for a decent price. Meanwhile, ever since TKO took over, prices have become very, very large. Just for, as an example, in my case, going to WrestlePalooza was very expensive. I won't say like how expensive, but it was very expensive. Going to the Rumble earlier in the year was also very expensive. Not only my seat on the floor, because yes, I did sit on the floor. I also stayed in a hotel. I did all of the stuff. I went to WrestleCon. I went to the Superstore. I went to all sorts of live shows that were around Indianapolis. I went to SmackDown. I went to GCW. I went to pretty much anything and everything that I could over that weekend. And, you know, cash just keeps, stacking up. And for Backlash, I went to St. Louis, got another hotel, did some stuff around St. Louis as well. But then I also went to the show, also went to the Superstore. That's more cash on cash. And, you know, it's, it is very expensive. It was very expensive going to those three shows. However, in the case of AEW, now granted, I I'm only going to two AEW shows. One of which is a Dynamite that will be actually relatively close-ish to Indianapolis, and that is way less than my ticket to WrestlePalooza this year. Now, granted, also, I got the AEW VIP package, so that's going to be a little bit more money. But if you're like, well, Daniel, that's just television. Well, what other show are you going to, AEW wise? Well, I'm actually traveling back to St. Louis for Wrestle Dream. I'll be going to that in mid-October, and that show, it is way cheaper than me going to Backlash. Like, a fair bit cheaper than me going to Backlash. When I went to Backlash, I think early May this year. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to be able to go to the amount of shows that I am, but I know for others it is quite a bit of an ask to fork over this much money for what is ostensibly just a seat at a show. That some others might willing to pay for that, while others not so much. And this is kind of like my crux to it. I am the type of person that will watch any type of wrestling. Like, you've seen it right here on my channel. I've gone to WWE shows. I've gone to AEW shows. I've gone to GCW shows. I've gone to Wrestling Revolver. And I've been to many of an independent show. Like either in my hometown or away or something like that at conventions. When they have them at conventions, I've done that as well. So I've just like watching wrestling. And I know for others, they cannot live without wrestling. Like, either because they've been watching it for so long, or it's because, well, maybe their kids are interested in it. And this is the thing about WWE's ticket prices as of right now. Every single either sports or entertainment, its backbone has been the hard-working middle class who just want to see some good sports or some good entertainment on a Friday or Saturday night, who are willing to part over their hard-earned cash just for a few hours of entertainment. WWE has been pricing them out for, I would say, maybe the past year or two. Like, you look at the ticket prices for next year's Mania, row 2 ringside, $35,000. You would be insane to buy that, in my opinion, because 35 grand can get you a new car. And as someone who is trying to, you know, get a new car, if I had $35,000 and you told me, what would you spend it on? Wrestling or a new car? I would buy that car because it's more important to me than wrestling. And some other people, just have a whole lot of money just laying around, just burning a hole in their pocket. And good for them. Spend it on, whatever your heart's desire. But for others, it's not that situation. They are scratching and clawing and fighting for every single dollar that they earn. And for wrestling companies, lesser extent than AEW, but more so WWE, to ask them to fork over $200 for what is essentially a seat in the rafters, that's crazy. I'm not the only person that has said this, on the internet. Like, there is many other people. Like, I know, for instance, like, In the Clutch, they posted a video about this as well. Also, Kicking It with Ross as well. They've posted videos to their channels talking about this, and as well as every other wrestling YouTube channel, like, Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic, What Culture, so on and so forth. They've talked about this. And it's really sad to see, the execs of the company, say, during Vince's time, running the company, he prioritized, families going to the show. Well, we're not going to do that. We are going to price for only the, most elite members to go and watch our wrestling shows. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but why wouldn't you want more people coming to your show? I mean, if we're being honest, and, I will be the first to, say, while WrestlePalooza was, fun in the building, I do agree with the consensus online that the show was a bit mid. It was just a bit mid. I will agree with that sentiment. Do I regret spending all that money on that seat? No, of course not. I still had an amazing time at that show, and I think that it was money well spent. However, I could see some other people being mad about that. And, it slowly eats away at your fan base. And then, all of a sudden, you could be in a situation like WWE was, back in 2017 or 2018, maybe even into 2019, where half the arena's full. I'm just saying. Say what you will about AEW, but they aren't pricing their fans away. WWE is. And considering the fact that, they keep striking deal after deal after deal, with all of these companies and such, wouldn't you just try to, like, think about your fans and, try and make going to the show actually affordable? You know, if your creative is, slowly but surely circling the drain, as many people are, saying right now, I would actually, try to incentivize, trying to actually go to a show. Just, this is just my thoughts. But I'm going to get off the soapbox and I'm going to let you guys share your thoughts in the comments below. I know as wrestling fans, we are just getting swarmed by content 24/7, and it has become more and more expensive to be a wrestling fan. So, just let your thoughts in the comment. Just leave them down in the comments, and I will try to be there as a bit of consoling, or just as a way to just kind of vent frustration. But I'm off the soapbox. Hopefully, this is like maybe the one time that I do this, but I just had to get that off my chest. Be safe out there, and I will catch you guys next time.